Hello, my name is Tim Budney, and I'm the Director of Delivery for Real-Time Intelligence. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about the plan detail page. Now, the whole point of this page is for suppliers to be able to enter the packaging information that is associated with transporting a plan, primarily around how are we going to package this thing up for movement. Uh, this is also used by the enterprise users so that they can evaluate the plans and determine whether or not these plans are going to work, and then they can also approve or deny those plans. And we're going to talk a little bit about how that works in a bit more detail. Now, I will encourage you to, if you're interested in what a lot of these definitions are, such as what is a package design type or what is a package material specification, all of that stuff for your organization will be found in the document library. So you can go here and download that document, and it has a lot of these specifications written out so that if you have any questions, you can kind of determine it from that library. Right? But I will go through some of these fields just to kind of note some of the major features here. Right? So first, we're going to start off with this block right here. This kind of gives some basic information: who is going to be, who this customer is, what the supplier is, maybe some shipping information, that kind of thing. And then you have some part information, such as a part number, and then you have some basic information. Now, sometimes this information will be filled out ahead of time by the enterprise. Sometimes the supplier will have to fill this in. So if this is blank, you're going to have to fill this in. This is your length, width, height, and weight. This is very important information because later on in the presentation, we'll talk about how we're going to calculate some of the weights here as it comes to packaging weight and pallet weights and that kind of thing. And that's what's really what's used to determine whether or not this plan is going to work or not. The other interesting thing here to look at is this kind of status icon. And what this represents is it gives you an idea as a supplier or as an enterprise user of determining where it is in the process. Right now, this plan has been requested, so it's going to be right here. Once you hit the Save and Submit button, it's going to go, this will light up, and it will sit in the submitted status until somebody has a chance to approve it. Once it's been approved, this will light up, and then it's been approved. And that way you can very quickly visually see where in the process this plan currently is. Now, we're going to roll on to the primary packaging system. So I'm going to put just a little bit of information in here, but the primary packaging system is the packaging system that actually touches the part itself. Now, sometimes that is all you have. You just have the one primary packaging system. If that's the case, you'll just flip this over to true, and you don't have to worry about any type of secondary packaging system. If you do have a secondary packaging system, you can leave this as false, and you can put in your information for a secondary packaging system. So this would be, the small back boxes that are wrapped around a light bulb, and this would be the big boxes that carry, several boxes of light bulbs type of thing. Right? Now, once again, a lot of this information is very important. Packaging design type, length, width, and height and weight specifically is very important, and I'll show you why this becomes important in a minute. I'm going to put in some very basic information saying that this is very tiny, but I want to be able to demonstrate the system as a whole. Let's say this has 5 of these suckers in here. Now, some of the other things that you can do with a primary packaging system and with a secondary packaging system, you can attach files. And in this current setup, all of these files are required. So you'd have to go and upload assembly instructions, IST transit reports, package image, et cetera, et cetera. This is all information that the enterprise is going to use to determine whether or not this plan is effective and meets their needs. So these can be optional or required, but there is a section for this in every one of these sections. There's also another section here for inserts. So you can create as many inserts as you want. You can create 1, 0, 50, it doesn't matter. It all is going to be dependent upon what you're actually using to package up these parts. And so once again, you can put in material, length, width, height, performance, burst, et cetera, et cetera. And then each insert has its own section for files if it is required. And in this case, it is. So you would have to upload a structural design for this insert. Right? So I'm going to go down to the secondary packaging system. So this would be kind of that secondary or bigger box system. And we're going to put a little bit of information in here. Okay, so now I'm going to put in a little bit more information. Once again, we have the ability to put in files, and this is decided what files are needed and whether it's required or optional is going to be decided by your enterprise. So you can go ahead and upload your files here. You also have the ability to add inserts to your secondary packaging system if you would like. So now I'm going to head down to the pallet slip sheet information. So what we have the ability to do here is to select what kind of pallet type we're going to be using. So we're going to say this is going to be a wooden pallet. That's going to say, okay, that is a 5-inch pallet. And then we're going to say how many master cartons, so that if there is a secondary carton, that's going to be the number of these here. If there's no secondary carton, it would be the number of primary package inserts. So let's put in some numbers here just to kind of show you how this works. We're going to say this has 3 layers. And as you can see now, it is calculated, we've got a 0.125 pound part weight, 1.6 pound primary packaging weight, 43 pounds secondary packaging weight, and a 1,300 pound pallet, which is, way too big, but I was kind of putting in just kind of fake numbers in here, so that kind of makes sense. And we have a 32-inch pallet height based on the number of layers and the number of secondary cartons we have, right? So once this is all complete, you kind of have several options, right? You can just save it. That will not pass any validation. It's just going to record everything that you did here. And you can use this to say, hey, I've been working on this for a few minutes and then I need to walk away and get a cup of coffee, or at the end of the day, I'm going to come back and work on this tomorrow. You hit the save button, it will record everything. The enterprise will actually be able to see your work in progress, but it will be flagged as, hey, this is still work in progress. They won't be able to prove a plan until you finally submit it. Once you're done and ready to go, you're going to hit the save and submit button, and then it's going to be sent back to the enterprise for then approval. You also have the ability to hit this button right here. This will let you look at other plans that have been made. So say you've got several parts and they all use very similar packaging information. You can hit this copy from button and you can pull over all the information from that existing plan, so you don't have to fill it in every single time from scratch. And then you just hit this save and submit or modify what you need, and you can go from there. Anyway, that about wraps it up for the plan details page. As I said earlier in the video, I would highly recommend looking at the documents in your document library, because it will spell out a lot of this stuff and a lot more information. And that'll probably answer a lot of the questions that you have. But if you're not 100% sure about what these fields are supposed to be, feel free to contact your packaging contact, and they will be able to kind of answer any questions that you have about what needs to be going in here. And that will just make sure that you have a solid communication flow, and that these plans are requested, created, and responded to very quickly, and that everything is filled out properly.